there's more. Part 2 of this women's empowerment mission, Kimpossible. Stay tuned, okay? This is the Intensified Life TV with Dr. Lakeisha B. So as I told you before, we had to do it in 2 parts because I know a lot of people named Kim and all of them are really awesome. But I was able to get just a few of them to give me a little time and share about what it means to be overcomers, dealing with life's challenges, finding a way to dig deep in their faith, in their confidence, and come through on the other side. And so this is my joy to introduce another set of Kims to you. Now, these ladies have a variety of experiences, and I'm just grateful that they decided to share a little time and their stories with me. I want them to introduce themselves. So whoever wants to start, let me start with my big sis. I've known her, I can't even tell you how long I've known her. I think I was in junior high when we first met at a little church in South Park, Sunnyside area in Houston, Texas. Dr. Kim Phillips Rolle, would you please say hello?
Greetings, and I'm so excited about being here. Thank you, Dr. Lakeisha B, as you say, for the opportunity to share and be a part of this mission, Kimpossible, that you put together. Just a little bit about myself. Pretty much, I am a counselor by profession, clinical Christian counseling. I also currently, I counsel a lot of people with grief and bereavement, depression, anxiety, things of that nature. I'm also an author, and I have a book called Say It Until You Seize It. And it's a positive affirmations book. And I have another one coming out called What to Say When You Pray. So I just love to encourage people. By purpose, I'm an exhorter. And I love to encourage people and make them feel better. I can encourage a tree and tell it how beautiful the leaves are. You look so good today, and make you feel just really good. That's what God put in me. And so how I carry that out is through different avenues, but I'm excited about being here and to encourage whoever's watching.
Yes, let me say that I know that to be true. I remember when like I said, in middle school, she's always been that type of person, one to encourage you, affirm, say compliments, all that good stuff. And it's great because it comes from a very authentic, genuine place. Thank you, Dr. Kim, for being with us. Let's talk to Kimberly Small.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you so much, Dr. Lakeisha B, for inviting me on and to share this platform with these beautiful other Kims that I have known over the years. So this is not our first time ever meeting. However, this is our first time being on a platform such as this together, and I am super excited. Again, my name is Kimberly R. Small, and I am the owner of several beauty brands, one being Images with You in Mind Salon and Boutique. I also have a clothing line, Heaven for the K Small Collection. And I host a 5 a.m. prayer call called Prayer Quake every Monday morning at 5 a.m. without fail. We have been ministering through prayer for the last 4 years. This July 4th made the 4-year mark for us. And so we are super excited about what God is doing in our lives through Prayer Quake. But that's it. That's all about me.
And that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's enough.
She definitely is a lady to watch for. And she is also an exhorter in her own way. She brings out that beauty. That's why it's called, Images with You in Mind. I've been a beneficiary, I could say, of her skills and her gifting. She sees all of it is ministry, and I can attest to that. And last but definitely not without proper ado and accolades, and with no further ado, this lady here, Kim Aitch, Miss Fabulous One, tell us about yourself.
Hello, 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 Dr. Lakeisha B. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for inviting me here to this platform with the other two beautiful ladies, Kimberly R. Smalls. We have worked together in some different capacities. I'm a hairdresser. She's a hairdresser by trade and profession before God allowed some other things to transpire and lead her in some other directions. So a little bit about myself. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. I have been a celebrity healthy hair expert and hairstylist for the last 40 years. I was licensed at 18 years old. So some fun facts about me. Beyonce was in my wedding. I grew up at Wheeler Avenue. I am still a hairdresser to executive women. One of my gifts is being able to see the beauty in every woman that I meet. And I love sharing my gift and helping women discover who they really are and truly feel beautiful about themselves. I have a product called Glow. It's a skin conditioner, but it also helps to uplift your mood with lemongrass and some natural essential oils, as well as I'm a curator for the accessories at McQueen's Custom Clothing, Shoes and Accessories, a boutique in Houston, Texas. And
I told you it was a lot.
I know it's a lot. It's a lot.
And Kim is a
And
lot.
grandmom, mommy and grandmom.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
Yes,
are.
I am.
Yes, you are. I have had the benefit of, and truly it has been a blessing to be connected with these women for a number of years. And they've all been in some way in my personal space. Dr. Kim and I have not literally seen each other in a few years, like been in the same physical space, but I love technology. That's one of the reasons why we're on here together. And she is the lady that I borrowed this great title from. I saw her place it on social media several years ago, the whole Kimpossible combination. And I thought that was so cute. And as I've said before, I know so many great Kims. And when I thought about these great Kims, I was like, let me ask her for permission to use this. And I want to call it Mission Kimpossible. It's just very positive, and being an exhorter, you can imagine that's just true to who she is. It comes out of her genuine place. So let's jump in and talk about a few things. As I said before, this is just a really organic conversation, but I wanted the ladies to share with us some things that they've had to face in life that seemed impossible. How did they get through it? How did they overcome? What did you learn about yourself as you persevered through that difficult season? I'm going to start with Kimberly Small. Tell us a little bit about a challenging time in your life, but more importantly, what did you learn about Kimberly Small?
Hey, okay. So I would have to say probably I've always been a woman of faith, but truly through the pandemic, being that we were, as hairstylists, we were one of the businesses that were shut down for the longest time. I think we were the ones that had to stay closed for the longest, like bars and everybody else was open back up and restaurants. And we were one of the industries that were closed down for the longest. I because it's my passion, I've been styling hair and for over 30 years now. And also my business, I called myself doing ministry in the marketplace. I'm not quote unquote, I don't have to be in the side of the four walls of the church. So that was my ministry. Like I encouraged my clients through, the beauty shop has always been a place where women can just come and just release and tell everything. However, we have an atmosphere where it's exclusivity. So I schedule my clients individually. And so they get a chance to come and relax. It's not a place of gossip. It's not a place of a lot of, stuff just going on. And so I really, truly miss my clients. And I also, there was some hesitation with, okay, when are we going to get back to what we do? I think more than the money, I missed my clients. And so it was a struggle for me. But during that time, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot that God was trying to get me still enough to just really look in the mirror and face some things that he wanted to deal with Kim are small about, right? There were some things that he was like, girl, you've been doing some things, even in my name, even in my word, but that wasn't me. I wasn't a part of that. And so it was a lot of maturing and growth and trusting God even more, so to speak. And so I've always liked to be around people pre-pandemic, but since the pandemic, I have found myself kind of not really withdrawn from people, but just in quiet places of isolation, um, in quiet places with the Father. So not isolation where I'm just isolating myself thinking that I'm an island by myself, but more so just a lot of quiet time that I really, really, really enjoy. I enjoy quiet time being with the Father. So those are some things that I really learned during a challenging time, but it all, the word says that all things work together for the good. And so I
All
believe
things.
that the pandemic really helped me grow and mature in some ways. However, it was, different at first. And so, but we came through. Glory to God.
Yeah. I think that's the testimony of many. And I can totally relate to that, having to sit still and reflect and do some introspection. And it was a blessing for me because I had been spinning my wheels, and it wasn't about a conviction of things being bad, but more that we needed to learn how to rest. And some of us, especially the busy bee, going, doing, moving and shaking, needed to be on pause for a moment, because rest is of God. Rest is the Lord's will. But that's another show. We'll do that another time. But just hold on to that. Somebody needs to hear that. Rest is of God. Give yourself permission to slow down, to push pause, and to be quiet, and to be still, and to have that time of solitude. Kim Aitch, what did you get? What is a season of difficulty or challenge that you've experienced, and what did you learn about Kimberly H through that?
The most challenging time in my life, I think, was my divorce. And it wasn't just the me that was divorcing, it was my children that was divorcing. And what I learned is to hold on to the word, and to help them understand and be a light for them, as we walked through the process. It challenged me in ways that I never thought it would even be possible. And when you say that you love someone, and you love someone enough to set them free and not put controls around that or parameters and boundaries, I learned that I could love enough to let go, which is, I don't really see us, I learned that in some situations, even as Kim expressed, can manipulate with the word when God is not in that space. And so I learned that I use the word at times in a way that wasn't helpful for myself or others. And so during that time, I learned to actually internalize and ruminate and be in the word and let the word be in me, and then it coming out, because I would not have been able to make it through if that had not been the case. And it's one thing when you fake it till you make it, right? And you're out and about and hi, how you doing? Oh, I'm blessed, and yada yada and yada yada, and you have on the mask. But when you get home to a child who is also hurting, how do you manage that situation in place? Do you act like everything is okay? Or sometimes you have to sit in the hurt and the pain? And even we both just sit in the hurt because I'm hurting, because my child is hurting. And just sit there with that. So learning to kind of sit with pain and know that I am going to be all right because he'll never leave or forsake me, and being able to transfer that internal knowing to my child. And I think the word of God is really what brought me. That was what I had to hold on to.
Yes.
So
Thank
that's
you. Many times when talking about our personal stories, and I so appreciate that you brought out the element of being a mother, and you are always, forever, I know this to be true. I'm not a biological mother, but I know you will forever be connected to your child, and going through something like that, as much as it was personal for you, watching and then having to have strength to parent during that season. I'm sure it was difficult, but I appreciate that you have helped us learn all the more the value and really dig deep into the word. I appreciate what you said when it says not just be in the word, but let the word get in me, really absorb and let that sink down in. That's what we have. That's what we all have. Dr. Kim, what about you? Tell us a little bit about some challenge that you had to face, but more importantly, what you learned about you during that season.
Awesome. Yeah. So I would say back in maybe 2000, and I want to say around 2010, I just felt like I had like a category 5 hurricane or something come through and just ricochet through my life, and just so I felt like somebody just threw my life up against a wall, and it just like all at one time, because I had so many back to back to back. You know, I have one challenge and like, okay, if I could just do this one and get through it, then you send another one. But no, back to back to back. So I went through a divorce, and then I also got raped at a massage parlor, went for a massage, and then also I lost my business that I had built and expanded overseas. I had was a top income earner in a company, and I just, it's like everything I just went to the bottom, and it was so hard for me to rebuild because I didn't realize the internal dialogue that I had with myself. We are mostly talking to ourselves more than we are other people. And I didn't realize until I went to do a training, and I was training some people on how to get unstuck. And I knew I always give myself the assignment first. And I said, okay, so let me see what one of the assignments I was giving was, you know, to write down a few events that happened in your life, and what is it that you told yourself when those things happen. And so I listed my 3 hurricanes, if you will, and then I said, well, no, what did you tell yourself, Kim, when that happened? And I realized, because sometimes we stay so surface, it's hard to go deep, and you got to dig in there and get that out. And I said, so what did you tell yourself? So I realized in doing the exercise that I was telling myself I was a failure, that I failed at my marriage, that I failed, you know, because I didn't protect myself, you know, how did I let that happen? Like, maybe if I had done this, you know, how you blame yourself when you go through those type of things. And then I was blaming myself, and I felt like I was a failure. And so when you believe that you're a failure, you don't really try. And that's why it was very difficult for me to get my business back up at the time. And so, but it was during that time, I remember I was having some quiet time, and I was eating some yogurt. And on the side of the yogurt thing, it says fruit on the bottom. And so I remember God speaking a rhema word to me, and he said, Kim, what does that say? And I said, it says fruit on the bottom. And he said, that's it. The fruit is on the bottom. And there was some things that I needed you to get that you couldn't get when you was on the top. And he just said the fruit is on the bottom, and that's where I became fruitful, is on the bottom. That's when I learned, and what did I learn? I learned my value while I was in that valley. I learned who I was. And so that I was doing things like I do sign language and things of that nature. And I was doing that for free. And then I was helping a company, but then they became a billionaire company and I was still not getting paid and doing it for free. And then, you know, something didn't feel right in here. And I said, no, because I started to learn who I was and my value. And I realized, no, I deserve to be paid for this. I went to school for this for 4 years, you know? So I just learned a little bit more about myself, and I got a chance to watch some other people that were in the journey with me that were top earners, and they kept going further. And I was praying for people, and they were calling me for prayer, and they would get a win, and I would be excited. I knew to rejoice with people because you got to bless that which you desire. So I wasn't envious, but I did came back and I said, well, Lord, you know, I know your word says over 73 times and God remembers, but I feel like you forgot about me. And I know that you didn't, but I feel that way. And he says, Kim, you're not forgotten. You're chosen because your circumstances are perfect for a miracle. And when I'm done, you and others will say, this is the Lord's doing and it's marvelous in my eyes. Amen. So he began to, those words that he gave me, and it caused me to get closer, you know, to him during those times of challenges. You know, sometimes we think that it's meant to hurt us, but God will use it and make something beautiful out of that ash, you know, and just really do something really powerful in your life and use you. And I felt like even the rape situation was really, I felt like that came out of nowhere. I feel like maybe that God just want to use that to help somebody else, that maybe I would be transparent about it and help somebody through that. And so, you know, those are some of the things that I learned, but I learned a lot of things while I was down there at the bottom. And, you know, I became fruitful. So, you know, I can use that. And I made a declaration and I said, I will make every tear pay me. I will make every tear for me. And, you know, because nothing is ever wasted. And I mean that. And everything will pay me. I don't care if I use it to help somebody else or whatever. I'll sing about it or write about it or whatever it is. Something's gonna good come out of it. And I just declare and decree that, you know, nothing has meaning except the meaning we give it. And so I decided to give it a different meaning than what the world would normally give it. So I'm gonna be quiet, sorry. I'm talking so much.
You have surprised me and I was not prepared. These are very authentic conversations, so I don't try to prep you. I may have shared with these ladies, you know, why I wanted to have the conversation and give them just a starter for where the questions may go. But of course, we didn't rehearse anything. And to hear what you just shared really touches me because I couldn't imagine the type of strength that it requires to get up and keep pressing. And it speaks so much to the God in you. It speaks so highly of the God in you. And I would say in all of you. I remember talking to Kim Aitch just maybe a couple of months ago, and she shared with me, it's actually when I shared with her some of my personal news. I'm engaged and going to be married and all of that. And Kim is very, very animated. but in this moment, Kim got very solemn, and I just had never heard her voice change the way she did when she talked about her divorce and the tearing, the rending of her soul. Those words even just stay with me. I felt like a chill. I felt like I was in the middle of something like, whoa. I'm sharing all of this. I mean, let me just say, these are conversations that I feel are important to have because there are people who don't know if they're going to make it on the other side. And you all have proven that you can, that it is possible. It is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous. You can smile again. You can laugh again. You can be back, on the top of your game. You can come through and have a testimony, but also a real impression, a real impact in your own soul about the God that you learned, who is more than enough, who is great, who is a God of restoration. All of that is important to carry with you as you face these hurricanes, as you say, Dr. Kim, one after another. Tell me, what do you, and any one of you can jump in right now, what do you call on, or what are the resources, or how have you strengthened yourself as you continue? Those seasons have passed, and you're in a different place, but you do a lot. All of you have mentioned at least 7 or 8 different things. So what are the resources? How do you keep yourself in a good place, in a good space to continue and be the best of the Kim that you can be? This is in case someone is listening or watching and they're overwhelmed, and that is their challenge. You know, just having so many things they know that God has called them to do, but how do you manage being a wife and a business owner and a mother and a grandmother and an author and a hairstylist and all of the things that you've mentioned? Somebody chime in and let me know, what do you draw on? What are the resources? What are the principles? What's the truth that helps you get through?
I can start by saying nature and praise. Nature and praise. Praise music, a song in my heart, a fire shut up in my bones. That is what I can turn on. Praise music, or God will sometimes give me a song, and I have worked in my garden with tears in my eyes with praise music and a little boom box, you know, hooked up to the Bluetooth and singing my way back to I am going to be okay and how good God is. Those are some of the resources that praise is the thing that I can, and praising God in the middle of awful circumstances. There's a song by Michelle Williams that Addison and I used to sing on the way to school, and it was "The Sun Will Shine Again." And, you know, don't run away, give it time, the sun will shine again. And if I can walk out of my house and see trees and know that he takes care of all of creation,
Yes.
that he's got me covered. There is not anything outside in my yard that isn't beautiful. And even if it falls to the ground and becomes like the dirt, it fertilizes for the next life and for the next life and awakening. And so for me, nature and praise.
Okay, go ahead, keep talking, Kim Small.
I would have to say, I make it a habit, especially since I've been a business owner. I've been in business for 17 years now. And as a business owner, a small business owner, you wear many hats within the business. And then, as you said, you have other responsibilities with family, ministry, friends, all of that, being a mother. And so I adopted so many years ago is to make sure that I take time just for myself. At least, I used to do it at least 3 times a year, where I would shut off my phone. I would go check in a hotel or go somewhere and just have me time, just me and God. And so recently I just did it for the first time since the pandemic. I went away June 1st for 3 days, just out in the middle of nowhere, just a silent retreat. And if I tell you, it, as you said, rest is something that we absolutely, it's essential. It is essential. If we are no good to ourselves, if we don't get, I'm telling you, for me, if I'm tired and I don't have the rest, and it's not good for nobody in the house. I'm just saying, it's not good for anybody. So I'd be like, my family understands and knows when it's that time. Don't call me, unless it's an emergency. I'm not answering my phone. I just need some time with just me and God. And this last time, if I tell you, I prayed, I cried, I was silent, I slept. I was doing a fast, but the area that I was in was very unfamiliar, and it was very nice, but it wasn't what I was expecting. And because I was seemingly the only person out there, I was like, okay, I may need to eat maybe just once a day. And so I altered the fast because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. But I said all of that to say is that we have to make sure that we take time and replenish ourselves as business owners, counselors, motivators, exhorters, people in ministry, parents, wives, all of that, we have to take time to replenish ourselves. And so that is one of the resources that I'm so glad that God is getting me back on that path where he's saying, Kim, take the time for yourself. Take the time for yourself because it's necessary, it's essential. And so it really helps me mentally, spiritually, physically. I'm talking about just rejuvenation all the way around. So I would say that's one of my resources that I'm excited about to share.
Awesome. Dr. Kim, what do you do?
For me, one of the things that I did, when I was in that, when I have challenges sometimes, is just to make sure that I saturate myself. Especially if I'm really, really going through, I just saturate. And that's how I actually made it through that really low season in my life, is to really, I just saturated myself with the word and worship, and even walking, so it was the word, it was worship, it was walking, it was workout, just all of that. And then just also pouring back into others. So that is actually when I was there, as when I started my Kimspirations. And I would do a daily Kimspiration, and it was to encourage other people, because I thought if I'm hurting, then if I just take the focus off of me and help someone else, that helps. But I am definitely also a proponent of self-care, like Kimberly R. Smalls is. I think you have to definitely, I'm learning to be more self-full, not selfish, but self-full. Everything in your cup is for you, and everything in excess, the overflow is, and the salsa is for everybody else. And so learning to be full so that I can give out of that. And you can't serve the world from a small place. So I just try to fill myself up. In fact, I'm one of those people, you would think I'm extroverted because, I like to be around people, but I'm really more introverted in that, introverted people have to go within, so they don't go without. It's like, you got to have that time. Like, I have to have that time. And I think that time alone with God and having those conversations with him help a whole lot. He wrote a lot of worship songs through me during those times. And I didn't even know that was in there. And so, that's some of the things that I draw from. And I actually listen to, sometimes I go on YouTube and do a lot of personal development, or, reading and things like that. So those are the things that I do to replenish myself, to help me to get better.
I am in total agreement with all of you. I think I've done some of everything that you all have said, and I definitely can attest that it is what keeps us grounded, what keeps us full. I'm going to borrow that. Self-full. It's definitely different than being selfish, but we're right. You're absolutely right. If we are not full in and of ourselves and able to carry what we need for ourselves, we really can't give to others. And I found nature is a blessing to me. I started going on walks, and just sitting outside is something that replenishes me as well. And seeing God's creation and being reminded the same way I look at trees and get a lesson in how they grow, and everyone is different, but they don't compare themselves to one another. They just be. They just are, they are how God made them to be. And in that there is beauty, and they flourish. It is really, really great. I am also one who believes, I'm a strong advocate, very strong advocate for the time to rest and pull away, shut down social media, unplug, give your mind and your body time to totally reset. Give yourself permission to do that. Ladies, this has been so helpful, and I feel like we really could talk another hour or two, because I know there's so much more in each of you that could be excavated for truth and light and inspiration and laughter as well, because all of you, I'm so grateful to say all of these Kims, all of the ones you all met, even on the first other interview, they're people who have personality too. And I'm pointing that out because so many times when we go through our challenges, it's very possible to lose part of yourself, lose some of your joy, lose some of that essence of an effervescence, if you will, of life. And I'm so grateful, even through those challenges. It may have been a dark season, but you can see by their faces, these are people who have joy and they still
Absolutely.
Have been restored. That's a good thing too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
We need these conversations because there are people suffering in silence.
Yeah.
And they will look at individuals like you and all that you are doing now and not know the backstory. I'm so grateful that you shared. And I want to ask you to leave. Just think about that small nugget of truth. What is it you would say to someone who might be in the middle of their impossible season, in the middle of their seemingly worst challenge of all? It could be divorce, it could be a health crisis, it could be a financial downturn that just has them devastated. And whether they're named Kim or not, the point is, with God, we know all things are possible. What did you learn that you would want to share and leave with that person? Whether they're going to listen to this next week, next month, next year, it could be decades from now. I just believe if it's timeless truth from God, it will always apply, it will always be good. So what can you draw from your season as one of these Kimpossible, mission Kimpossible testimonies? What would you leave with someone else right now? Let's start, Kimberly Small, do you have that nugget you'd like to, that succinct little message? What would that little nugget be?
I would say that there will be glory after this. Like, yeah, on the other side of this, you'll rise again, you'll shine again, you'll thrive again. It'll be great. It'll be glorious. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me hear from you, Dr. Kim, one more time.
So my message would be just to remember that it's only temporary. That's what got me through. I remember my play brother, he used to play professional football, and he told me, he says, I was going through a rough time. He said, Kim, he said, it's only temporary. And so I'll remind myself that sometimes it's only temporary. Sometimes it seems like you're going to always be where you are, but you're not. And, you know, the things that you heard us talk about, the storms and all that, you know, that passes away, and God restores and sometimes recompenses. And to the point where you will not, God doesn't just give you back what you lost, but he will give you back more and double, you know, double for your trouble. And that he has definitely done that. That's a whole nother show for me. But even in that, he is restored. I'm remarried and to a wonderful person, but also God has used me and told me, hey, I showed you how to believe for your mate. Now I want you to go back and teach other people how to believe for theirs. And so that's a whole nother segment too. But thank you for inviting me on here. I would say, just remember, it's only temporary. This is not permanent. Sometimes people want to go and have a permanent solution to a temporary issue, and they want to end it all. Because I've had people call me and say, hey, listen, I'm right here. They lost their business. And then I say, oh, that's why I went through that. And I was able to walk them through what I did to get through it. And they were able to be victorious. And now I see them just soaring and things of that nature. So just know it's temporary. It's not forever. It's only a test.
Amen. Thank you so much. Kim Aitch, what you got for us?
This too shall pass. And like a tree planted by the living waters, you keep watering and nurturing your root. Keep watering, keep near the things that give you life, and you will be okay. And if you can sit still in those moments, whether it be in nature, whether it just be, you know, that's what does it for me. But different people have, you know, that different space. But if you can get quiet and you can get still and just hear, you can move through it, and you can separate the emotion from the clamor and all of the busyness and the physical part of that. And, you know, breathe, just breathe, just breathe.
Yeah, just breathe. Thank you so much. You know, breathing is one of those things we learn as well it's a part of being able to just calm yourself down, from anxiety, from worry, just being able to breathe. And I think about that when I think about breathing and calming myself. It is the thing that God gave us. But God breathed into man the breath of life, who came living soul. And that helps us to get back to the God space. Just breathe. I also wanted to highlight, and I so appreciate you, Dr. Kim, for mentioning this. When you work with people about being stuck, I did a series on getting unstuck. That seems to be the word for this year for me, because I've constantly heard it. And that's why I want to encourage someone else to make sure you go check out that series on this YouTube channel. But before I wrap this up, let me just say thank you to everyone again. I am so grateful that you gave me this time, and that you gave us, because I believe that there will be many who will be blessed by what you had to share from your personal experience, from the Word of God, from your faith walk. And even though it appeared to look impossible, it appeared to be overwhelming, we know by your faces now, your testimony now, that God is the God of the impossible. God is the God of restoration. And that's what we want every person listening to this to remember. Listen, there are so many places, so many ways that we can try our best to work through life on our own. But in the end, it is impossible. We were designed, we were purposed, we were created to be in relationship with God, not as those who would be without agency or have no will. God gave us the gift of a free will. But when we align that with God, we find that what seems to be impossible is really not. It is just an opportunity for God to be glorified, for us to be transformed and changed and become more of the authentic, true nature and representative of God that we were called out to be. So I thank you for paying attention and listening, and listen. You just heard from some amazing Kims. They are people who know what it is to trust God through the impossible. And I'm sure you know someone who would be blessed by this video. So not only should you share, subscribe, and like, pass it on continually. Come back and listen again, and stay tuned for the next edition of the Intensified Life TV with Dr. Lakeisha B.